Hi all, Scott Trent here, coming to you from the my outdoor desk just off the creek behind my house in Richardson. This is going to be our introduction for the sculpture and design class for this summer at Tarrant County. So I want to cover a few subjects about what just kind of give you an overall idea of what the class is going to look like, expectations, and a little bit insight into what we'll be thinking about. So first, as you might already know, the class is going to be online. We will not meet. We will have 2 Zoom meetings, which will be on specific days at specific times. I believe they're 9:30 to 11. 9:30 to 11. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you those dates right now. They're on the syllabus and posted on the class Blackboard page. But actually Wednesday, June 3rd, so that after we start on Tuesday, June 2nd, and then Wednesday, June 3rd, we'll have a Zoom meeting from 9:30 to 11. And then our next one will be Thursday, June 11th. So those coordinate with you showing different projects. And let me see how this goes. If I'm going long on this one, I might create another video, but let me get through what our expectations and what we're planning on doing with the class first. So I have the class structured. We are scheduled, when it was a class, we were scheduled to meet Monday through Thursday from 9:30 to 1:45, maybe something like that, about 4 hours. And so I thought about the class, even though we're meeting digitally, I thought about the class as far as that amount of time and that amount of work within that amount of time. So I've set up our weeks Monday through Thursdays, and this is important because I do keep track of attendance. So you'll need to log into the Blackboard site at least once each day, Monday through Thursday, to get your attendance, to make sure your attendance is up to date. So the class has deadlines, and each day I give you assignments, and I will give you supporting lectures to follow up on those assignments to explain what you need to be doing. But at the same time, it's self-paced. So you need to be aware of those deadlines, and there'll be some times that you'll be presenting to the class or interacting with the class. But for the most part, you can go through and do all the assignments in the first week, and that's fine. I'll have everything available and open. It's just I do have deadlines, and those are hard deadlines because classes like this, they go so quickly, and there's so much work that I can't get behind on it. There's no way I could grade everything, so I have to grade as we're going along, and I need you to turn in the work as it's required. So if there's a deadline, that's it. If you miss the deadline, then the work isn't turned in. So that's real important to note. My expectations are this. It doesn't matter to me whether we're meeting in person or through video or sending things digitally, email, because it's about you. It's about the work that you're doing and what you're going to create. And I can set up exercises and assignments and even tests and give you reading that will help you explore this subject matter and practice it and learn different techniques and ideas and concepts. And it doesn't matter whether we're in the same class together. So this is fine for me, and it works. So what I'm focused on for this class is 3-dimensional art, which is sculpture to me. Don't really do performance, audio, lights, that kind of thing. I've had a couple students that have explored, say, light sculptures or water features or things like that. That's fine, but that's just an extension of sculpture as far as I'm concerned. So it's sculpture, it's 3D art, but there's 2 aspects that are a little bit different with me, and that is that I am looking for larger scale up to monumental scale, which is big art outside, public. Public is a big part of this. What does it look like for the art to live outside in the middle of us? And what effect does that have? And how does it affect the art? And how does it affect the community? So that's what we'll be focused on. And you'll see that throughout the semester, that it all comes back to basically public art. There is no textbook is required for the course. I will have a workbook that I'll create that'll help you, it'll help facilitate the course. And then also I will have some selected reading where I will post that as a PDF, and I'm not really sure at the moment where it'll be. There'll be a link that you can go to and download that or read it online, whatever's best for you. There are going to be 19 tasks over the 5-week course. Like I said, I thought of this as the Monday through Thursday weeks with a couple exceptions. And the tasks are, let me just quickly go through those just so you can get an idea of what my expectations are. So I plan at this point to have 4 lectures, this being one of them, an introduction. There'll be 5 class discussions. The class discussions will be online forum through Blackboard, so it'll be a discussion board. What I expect there is to have you post your initial comment, and then you're required to make two more posts where you respond to 2 of your fellow classmates. Now here's the thing about it. Whenever you do a post, something of this nature, I want 150 words. It's very important to me. It's an arbitrary number, 150 words, and it might seem like a lot, but if you're writing anything at all, it's not a lot. It's basically a short paragraph. And that's part of your grade. If you don't have the 150 words, you won't get the full credit. I do that because I want you to think, and I want you to show me that you've thought. And a lot of times your content doesn't give me that insight. And so I know if I can get you to at least write 150 words, you at least had to sit down, stop for a minute, and think about the response or what you're going to put out there. So that's very important. And I'll give further instructions with each one of those, so what the topic is and what your response should look like. Exercises, I have 8 different exercises, and you'll find those on Blackboard, and directions will be with them, and when I need to, I will supplement with a video, or we can talk about it during Zoom, or whatever we need to do. Sculptures. You'll create 3 sculptures during this course. The first one will be due the second day of class on Tuesday, and it is a I'll go ahead and introduce it now. That sculpture will be a self-portrait, and so it can be anything that you want. The criteria is that it has to be 3-dimensional. In this case, let's just say it's freestanding. You have to be able to see it from all the way around. That's what would make it a sculpture. And in some way it represents you. So expect to write a paragraph how it represents you. Expect to explain that to us. That's what we'll do during the Zoom meeting. And then I'll ask you a little bit about the sculpture and the design elements that you utilize to create that sculpture and how they apply to you. And we'll have a little bit of discussion around that. So self-portrait, create a sculpture that somehow represents you. And that'll be due the second day of class, which is Wednesday, June 3rd, and you'll present those during the Zoom meeting. The other 2 sculptures will be, you will actually make maquettes, which a maquette is a small replica of a larger idea, a larger sculpture. And so the maquette will be your other 2 sculptures that you'll make. So, and then there'll be, and my daughter's about ready to walk in here. Hey, Addie, let me finish this and we'll talk, okay? And then there'll be 3 quizzes that'll be done for the class. And that is, I'll give you directions at that time, but those will be ways that, for instance, I'll ask you to read some literature that I'll give you and answer questions about it. And then there'll be a lecture on public art or the trophic effect. One of the, maybe both of those, and I'll have a quiz around it. And those will be done multiple choice through Blackboard. And once again, I'll give you directions on those. You'll find those in the syllabus. A lot of the content I will be making up or creating as the class is going on, so it might not be all there right away, but I'll get it up within the first week at the latest, all the content. So if you do want to work ahead, you can work ahead in the class. All right, last two things that I want to talk about for this particular video is two things. The first one is, what is art? When we talk about art, what is it? And you know, some people say, oh, art can be anything and you can't really define it. Well, that's not true at all. Art is very, very specific. And so the way that I always test it is I'd say, is this art? And you'd look at it and say, well, yes. I don't know what you'd say. You might say yes, you might say no. But if you say no, that it's a pen, then you're absolutely right. Everything is not art. That's a false statement. Everything can be art, which is a different statement. So right now, this is a pen that was designed. It has some creative aspects to it. It has some design elements to it. It has flow. It has color. It has shape. It even has a logo on there, so that's designed. But it was created with a purpose, and that was to write, be a writing utensil. And so the intention for this was to create a pen, and they wanted to make it actually, affordance became a part of it, is how do I hold it? How do I use it? How does it complement my use? These are all design elements that are very important, but it doesn't make it art. Now, the thing that I would do is if I put it right, let's say on the screen, normally I do this in a class I put on, so, but on the screen I put it right here, and I'm going to put it a little bit at an angle like that, and I'm going to turn it. Now it's art. Well, what changed? And as what changes is intention. Art is anything that is created with intention to be art, then it's art. That's it. There's no debate, no discussion, that's it. If I put this here and create it like this and do it with the intention for it to be art, it is now art. But it has to be created by an artist. Okay, well, what the heck does that mean? Well, the definition of an artist is anyone that says they're an artist. And there's no negotiation, debate there either. There's no class, there's no certificate, there's no secret handshake that makes you an artist. If you say you're an artist, you're an artist. That's it. Now, are you a good artist? And is the art that you create good? Well, that's a whole different discussion. And that's much more subjective. And there's many more factors that become involved with it. Let's say you're trying to make art that is unique and creative and hadn't been done before. Well, people aren't going to appreciate it or understand it, so then they're not going to judge it as being good or quality. Vincent van Gogh never sold a work of art. He sold one. He sold one work of art in his entire life. And that was to his brother. His brother was an art dealer, so he wanted to get him some money, so he bought one of his paintings. And now today, Vincent van Gogh is probably one of the 10 artists that everyone that takes any art class has heard of, whether they've seen a work or not, you know. And so a lot of times when you are a fine artist and you're out there trying to create something new or innovative or different, it might not be appreciated or seen for the art that it is. That doesn't mean that's not art. So art is anything created with intention to be art by an artist, is to anyone who says they're an artist. The next thing I would talk about, which I've already mentioned, is design elements. Design elements are what we use, what artists use to create art. And when it gets down to it, art is an illusion. Art is someone trying to create something that looks like whatever the artist's intention was. So for instance, if you take Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa, you'd say, well, it's a woman with a relaxed posture looking out from the canvas, and she looks like she knows something, she has a secret, or she's smug, or she has this look that we've been debating for years. Well, in essence, it's not. That's not what it is. It's paint on a canvas. That's it. Someone took paint with a paintbrush and they applied it to a canvas, and then all of a sudden this woman emerges that we see and we attach all these ideas to, or we get the meaning from it. And the way that artists do that is using visual elements or design elements to create these things. So for instance, the tone of a color. If I make a color, if I have a shape that's round and I make the color darker on one side, it gives you the illusion that there's light that's shining on that. It also gives the round shape the effect that it's three-dimensional. So it looks like it's coming off the canvas. It also can have mass and volume, and all of a sudden we could think it's this very heavy orb that's just sitting there, and then it could be floating, and then it looks like there's tension because or even a directional force that is going to fly off in a direction. And then there's emphasis, where it's placed on the canvas, and is it highlighted, and the size of it. Is it subordinate to another shape or element within the canvas? Is it symbolic? Does it represent something we know or something we recognize? Does it look like it's off in the distance? Is there an atmospheric perspective that's used to make it look like it's in the distance? And that would be done by proportion and scale. And it also, by lack of details, might make it look like for some reason it's further away. So there's many different types of visual elements and design elements that artists use, whether you do it intuitively because you look around yourself and you see something you're trying to recreate it, or you actually know if you do this, this will be the results, and this is how it'll be received and perceived, and the message that it'll convey. Sometimes artists will create art with a message without even having content in it. Maybe there's a feeling that you get that it exudes just by standing in front of it. Mark Rothko was known for his larger paintings that used color field, and he, using color theory, would put different temperature colors next to each other. That he put a warm color next to a cool color, and then in scale he put a large square shape of the warm color, and the color that would impact you and touch you would be the warm color, but in contrast, juxtaposed next to the cool color, you would have a response to it. And he would say he's not trying to convey a message. He just wants you to stand in front of his art, which a lot of times was larger scale, which that would be a design element, and just experience the art, feel it. Sometimes the minimalist artist would say, I don't want you to, there's nothing here. It's what it is. It's colored lines that are together, which create a rhythm, which directs our eye across there, or there might be a pattern that is soothing. There's shapes that invoke certain feelings and emotions. So design elements and the visual elements that are used to create art, are very important to understand. And throughout the course, hopefully we will talk about those. There's an exercise where I'll ask you to actually look at that and think about it. So that's what art is for the purpose of this class. That's when I'm talking about design elements and visual elements, that's what I'm referencing. I'm looking forward to the class. It'll be different than the one that I imagined 6 months ago, but hopefully it'll be just as helpful and engaging, and we'll all discover something new in the next 5 weeks. So I look forward to seeing you online, and I look forward to seeing you in real time at our first Zoom meeting Wednesday, June 3rd. So for now, that's all I got. I'll see you soon.